Hello everyone, I'm Malcolm Payne, a chess international master from the UK, and welcome to the second match in the first Choker Cup. I'm honoured to have with me as co-commentator Jeff Gross, a professional poker player with over $5 million of tournament earnings. Jeff will be offering insights into the poker in Choker, while I'll be commentating on the fast and furious chess phase of this revolutionary game. My thanks to Chess24 for hosting this, and remember, if you want to get involved, you can download the Choker app from the Apple Store or Google Play. Tonight's match is between woman Grandmaster Anna Rudolf from Hungary and Brazil's Mr. Chess, Raffael Santos. It's going to be the best of 5 clashes. And last week we saw International Master Eric Rosen crush Simon Williams, a complete shutout, 3-zip. Jeff, I thought that the poker strategy was a little bit, could we say, almost lacking the last week. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think there was definitely some errors in judgment on hand strength and continuing. Part of the game is wanting to bet when you have a very strong hand and fold when your hand is not very good. And we saw, Simon just sort of throw that thought process out the window, and he just was all in and kind of blasting. And I think that could be a bit of, just not having as much experience with the game, but also, maybe not giving the proper respect to the difference in ability. Even let's say you're a better chess player, you still have to respect that if you're dealt a way inferior hand, you may want to pitch it and look for another spot. So I think that was there was definitely he was throwing caution to the wind with that regard last week.
Yeah, Anna's got a big advantage, I think, in this match because she's been involved in Choker from the get-go. In fact, she's even had some input into the game. So she should have an awful lot more experience, although we don't know how much Raphael's been practicing on the app. As far as I know, neither of them are particularly experienced poker players. Last week's contender, Simon Williams, he plays a little bit of poker. Do you have any advice for people just beginning out in poker on how they might approach the poker phase of Choker?
I think that's the biggest thing you can do is just understand about making bet sizing. You don't want to lose your opponent, just necessarily go all in if you have a really, really strong hand, but you also want to kind of lure them in, and you want to try to, seek. There's a spot in this game where the edge is in the bet sizings and the amount of chips you can get in with a stronger hand. So, you got to know your opponent. You got to know, is your opponent willing to play at any cost, no matter what? Is your opponent on the tighter side? And that's something you can figure out pretty quickly based on how they're betting and seeing what type of hand, their hand strength that they're going with and how much they're willing to risk. So I think that's there's one area of this game where you can really capitalize on and put your opponent at a disadvantage if you can kind of find that sweet spot and see what their threshold for betting is. And it's a big part of this game, no question.
So they're kind of feeling each other out in the first couple of hands, perhaps. Let's say, for example, if I got the best possible Choker hand in the first 2 cards, if I got Queen and Rook, what do you think would be a decent opening bet if you had Queen and Rook?
You want to that's a very strong hand. So you would obviously not want to go all in. You would want to make maybe a 3x raise from the whatever the blinds are at that particular level. So something where you put some chips in the pot, but you're not going to scare your opponent off, but you also don't want to bet too small. So you kind of want to lure them in, and I'd say that's like a good default. To just kind of touch on that though, at the same time, you do want to be balanced. You don't want to just always be checking if you have a very strong hand and always be betting a lot, or vice versa. You want to be pretty balanced to some degree on those opening card draws, right? Because if you just always check when your hand's bad and you always bet 3x when your hand is super strong, someone can pick up on that after a few iterations of playing. So, in this particular time, I don't think it matters as much, right? This is a 1v1 game. No one really has any experience with the other. They haven't seen any, film or watched them play. So you could kind of be exploitative in that sense, right? You could just, in this one instance, it's okay. But if you're going to be playing, other matches, or as these rounds progress, or in the future, if you're playing the same person many times, then, you want to be aware of that so you don't get exploited and taken advantage of.
So 3 times the big blind, you would say. So the opening blinds are what, 10% of the pot in Choker, aren't they, in the first game?
Yes, that is correct.
So and the small blind is half of that. So say opening game, you got queen and rook, you'd be looking to put in something like 3,000. If you were up for either player, right? Either player would put in 3,000. That'd be a decent bet.
It's about right. You just want to be balanced. You want to sort of they say take it to the streets. You want to go post flop. Like the pre-flop game, anyone could just blast all in and beat anybody and take down a pot. But if you have an amazing hand and you go all in and your opponent folds and only loses 200 or 600 chips, like that's a loss for you because you had a chance to extract chips and be in the to get them along for more chips. So it's just fun. It's one of the reasons why this game is so unique, so interesting. There is bet sizings, there is that poker element that's incorporated into the match, and that definitely matters. It's a big part of the game, Choker.
Yeah, and what we're hoping, in fact, what we've seen on the app, of course, is that a disparity in chess strength often doesn't matter if you've got just a small advantage in the number of pieces that you've got. So we get these different configurations of pieces at the outset of the game. In Williams against Rosen last week, it was, I think, one side was the exchange up, which in chess is having the same equal pieces, but one side has a rook and the other side has a bishop or a knight, and that proved decisive. I think that if you've got a big disparity in chess strength, then you probably need, I guess you need at least a piece, at least a sort of 3 points, if you like, a knight or bishop advantage to rule the board. But it does mean that almost anybody can beat anybody in Choco, which I think is one of the most fascinating things about this game. Next week, Jeff, we've got a couple of poker players, and I think you know both of them quite well. We'll be broadcasting at the same times on the same day on Thursday. Do you know anything about the chess strength of these poker players?
Yeah, no, it's going to be super interesting because these are both very poker-centric backgrounds, Matt Staples and Bill Perkins. So, Bill Perkins is a very successful trader. He's played some of the highest stakes cash games and tournaments in the world, including the £1 million buy-in Triton event last July in London, which he made the final table in cash. And Matt Staples, fresh off a 93K score and a $200 buy-in on Party Poker last week on the Party Million. Pretty incredible, 6,000 plus entrants, finished third place for $93,000. $1 million prize pool plus. So they're very competent poker players. Chess ability, Bill likes to play. I was there at his birthday last year for his 50th at Necker Island. He was battling Richard Branson pretty much each day. They'd wake up and play chess there, and he was, he loves it. Like, he just loves chess. He loves games, and I think he's got a decent ability. He enjoys playing. And Matt, I think also I've seen him do some collaborations with Ms. Botez on Twitch, and he's got a bit of a knack for chess as well. So I'd say it's close to call. I don't think anyone is a massive favorite, but they're both not complete, rookies. So it'll be fun to see.
Right, and in poker terms, Matt's the pro, but Bill is the really, really strong and very talented amateur, right? That's
yeah, exactly.
That'd be a fair assessment.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they both understand bet sizing. That's a big thing. So I don't think there's going to be much of an advantage. And it could be interesting. There could be some traps, some deception with the pre-flop, or I should say pre-match chess board where they're going to not necessarily give away their hands. And you may see a little more of a strategy there than some of these other chess dominant players that are maybe not going to be quite as tricky with some of the strategies with the betting.
Right. Now, have you ever seen Bill and Matt be heads up in a poker hand?
Yeah, actually. So we did a project called we did a Streamboat challenge where Jamie Staples, Matt Staples, some other Kevin Martin. We went down to the Virgin Islands and we were there. And Bill has a boat, and we were playing poker on there and doing a thing. Actually, when that hurricane, the really bad hurricane stretch came through, I believe 2018, we actually had to leave early and evacuate. I forget the name of the hurricane, but yeah, okay. So we were only there for a few days, but Matt and Bill did play some, and they have played before, and they know each other well. So yeah, it'll be fun. They know each other.
That's going to be again a completely different kind of matchup from what we would have seen in the first two games. Well, I'm actually intrigued tonight to see Raffael play chess. I couldn't actually find him on the international rating list, which could just be because he has quite a common name. But what he may lack in chess rating points, he certainly makes up for in YouTube viewers. He's got 80,000 people on his stream, so he must know a heck of a lot about chess if that number of Brazilians follow him so regularly. I understand from Control that we've got some technical issues, so the game hasn't quite been able to start yet. Perhaps we can just take people through. A lot of people might be watching Choker for the first time. Just the process of how Choker actually works. The first phase is the poker, which is essentially just like real poker in a sense. You deal the cards and you bet. But when you deal the cards in Choker, as you'll see, each of the cards has a chess piece on it, and that's the chess piece that you're going to be playing with in the game, unless there are a few rules to basically to make sure that nobody ends up getting 5 queens. So initially you'll see 2 cards, and there'll be each player will have 2 cards. There'll be a round of betting, and if both players bet, there's another two cards come, and another round of betting, and then just like in poker, you get a 5th card, and at that point, both players might choose to risk all and play the chess phase. And when they do, there's 2 phases to the chess. The first phase is the placement phase, which is very, very canny. You've got to be really careful, and it takes some practice to get this right, because you can leave yourself really vulnerable. Because you've only got 5 pieces plus your original king on its starting square and a pawn in front of the king. Chess players will understand that would be on either the e2 square for white or the e7 square for black. You've got to place your pieces that you've got in your 5 cards, and you've got to be extremely careful where you put them. If you've got pawns, I recommend that you put your pawns as close to your king as you possibly can. Jeff, last week I think we saw it was Simon, wasn't he, who put a pawn out on left field, didn't he? And later on, I think he rather regretted that pawn wasn't near his king as Eric's pieces swooped in and checkmated him. That I thought was a little bit of an outlandish strategy from Simon, as well as his betting, which was, should we say, free and easy, as you put it. One of the things I think you've got to be extremely careful of in Choker is to make sure you don't allow an instant checkmate. So at least with black, you get the chance to put the last piece on the board, having seen your opponent's pieces, and that's kind of an inbuilt advantage. But it's one that you've got to be careful how you deploy it.
Yeah,
Jeff,
yeah, I would say that's really, it's interesting too that the amount of starting we were talking about last week, and I think I misspoke about just with moves and starting positions, but there is 82. Is that right? And correct me if I'm wrong. Is like 82 trillion starting positions, whereas in chess, obviously, in Choker, in chess, there's obviously one. At both boards, people start with the exact same setup, and that's a pretty significant statistic to dive into.
It's true. So I mean, Choker is effectively, like chess, a game of limitless depth, and I don't think we've even begun to calculate the number of possible moves or games in Choker. But when you consider that the number of possible moves in chess is more than the atoms in the universe, and chess has 1 starting position and Choker has trillions, it's incredible. We have a different kind of chess that's played a little bit nowadays, which was first devised by the legendary world champion Bobby Fischer. It's called Chess 960, where, to avoid chess opening theory, you put the pieces out in a random way on the first 2 ranks, and there are 960 possible ways of setting up those pieces at the beginning of the game. With Choker, because of the way the cards are randomly dealt, 44 Choker cards, which can come out in any order. Gosh, 82 trillion. It's just mind-boggling. You couldn't possibly begin to have any opening theory in Choker. There's just no danger of it. Fischer invented what's called Fischer Random or Chess 960 to avoid opening theory. With Choker, there's just not going to be an issue. Jeff, did we see last week? I think we saw an Empress, that interesting configuration of cards that comes out. That viewers should watch out for a card actually suddenly changing its form, which is quite an interesting feature of the betting phase, right?
Yeah, it's very rare. It's a strong hand, like essentially a full house, right? You're getting 3 and 2 of the same, and then there's an upgraded position, or I guess you would get. Let's give an example of, maybe you're more articulate with the chess. So if you give us an example of a Empress when you get 3 and 2 pieces.
Okay, so you might have, so it's like a full house, I suppose. You'd have like 3 knights and 2 rooks, for example. That would be a typical 3 and 2 that you could get, and what happens is that we call that in Choker the Empress Formation, and if you get that, then the Empress might it might change into a queen. So essentially, you end up, instead of having 3 and 2, you end up with 2, 2, and queen. So 3 of a kind and 2 of a kind becomes 2 of a kind plus 2 of a kind plus a queen, which is a real big boost to you. To have a knight, which is worth 3 points in chess, promoted to a queen, which is 9, and the queen is a really devastating piece in Choker right from the get-go. I mean, in chess, normally you want to keep your queen in reserve. You keep her safe because she can get in danger and you can lose her. But in Choker, because you've only got 7 pieces on the board for each side instead of 8 pieces and 8 pawns, 16, there are all these wide open spaces the queen can zoom into. And we saw that particularly, I think it was Eric in the decisive game against Grandmaster Simon Williams. Eric just got his queen going, and it was just check, 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 check until it was mate, and Simon never had anywhere to hide. So watch out for that. I think it's one of those things, Jeff. I'd be very wary of betting, or at least going into the actual game of chess, if I didn't have a queen amongst my 5 cards.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. That's So I think there's a ego, just like poker as well. There's plenty of times where people know the right thing to do, but they just decide, hey, I'm going to try to make up for it. I'm going to try to go for it, even though I don't think I have that good of a hand with, I guess, bluffing. But here, that is hard to overcome when you are very dominated with the 5 card versus 5 card matchup. If your hand is super inferior, you're going to have a really hard time, if you have any chess knowledge at all, to overcome that deficit. So yeah, I think that hopefully these opponents have maybe seen the last match, or have done some studying and understand that. And it'll be interesting to see, as these Choker televised, they're shown, that people are going to notice it and maybe make some adjustments. I think that's why it's fun too, because this game is so new. It's not like backgammon or some other games that are solved. Chess, there's so many moves, but there's you can kind of learn it, and there's a lot of repetition. Choker's just brand new. It's like the Wild West. No one really knows what's going on, and they're kind of making it up as they go and figuring out what works and what doesn't.
It'll be real interesting to see who becomes the Choker world champion, or the top players. Whereas in chess, we have someone at the moment, Magnus Carlsen, who's pretty clearly better than the rest. I've got a feeling that with Choker, it'll be a lot more fluid. It'll be very, it's hard for me to imagine one person could ever really dominate Choker. That I'm sure there'll be a group of very, very strong players who win a lot of the tournaments, but I doubt if one person will come to dominate in total like we have in chess. What's the situation in poker? I guess it's pretty set. Is there one single player in poker who's considered to be absolutely the best player, or is it just a group of people at the very top?
Yeah, not really. There's definitely some old school players that are, Phil Ivey, or Phil Hellmuth, Antonio Esfandiari, Daniel Negreanu, that are sort of been around since it came on and got popularized with around 2004 with the World Poker Tour. So some of those guys that have still in the game and just sort of been around since the beginning. But yeah, there's people that go through waves, and especially in tournament poker, which is televised, and there's guys that get on pretty sick heaters at the highest level in the biggest buy-ins. There's guys that have gone through stretches where they're just seem unstoppable. And I think Justin Bonomo is a name that comes to mind. Maybe 2 years ago, he had he was like on the top 100. If you were to see paid athletes, like what he made in the year of I think it was 2018, or he had something like 37 or 50 million in earnings in tournament poker finishes. So it's like he was in the top 50 of would have been in the highest paid athletes even. So yeah, there's heaters like that. And nowadays, these £1 million buy-in tournaments, $1 million buy-ins, big buy-ins, there's some big scores, and it's exciting. There's a lot of big action going on.
And lots of strong players. So I was also intrigued when I think you were talking about Bill or Matt, I can't remember which one, that they came third in a 6,000 player tournament. Recently, that's amazing. I mean, in chess, you very rarely get a field that's remotely that size. And in chess, very often you'll prepare for a specific opponent in enormous depth. Do you, as a poker player, ever sort of target particular opponents, analyze their play from previous matches, and use that information and that strategy that you've gleaned to actually play at the table?
Yeah, for sure, and especially on Twitch and streaming, there's a lot of note taking. There's also color coordinating, so you kind of know tight, aggressive, or loose, and you can make some nice notes on people and sort of pick up on tendencies.
Right, and I guess when you go into a face-to-face games, you've got to memorize that stuff, and like chess players, bring it with you to the match, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to. I think we're getting ready to start here very quickly.
Excellent.
I just want to make a shout out to Twitch last week, which was May 3rd, that Matt Staples got third place, but there was 3 Twitch streamers in this $215 buy-in on Party Poker that 3 people made the final 5 out of 6,000 plus entries that were streaming. So at the same
Wow.
time, you saw a final 5 people left in this tournament, all on their Twitch feeds, and it was one of the crazier things I've seen in terms of Twitch. So that was pretty exciting to see the whole
That's amazing.
players.
So literally streaming their play as they were succeeding in the tournament. That's incredible.
Yes.
I mean, to be able to concentrate, Jeff, on the poker while streaming is also a completely different skill as well.
Yeah.
It's taking it to a whole new level, right?
For sure. It was very exciting.
I think that the play is going to be starting soon. We're getting a little message from control that they might have solved the connection issues.
I think the action is underway as well. I am on my feed. I am not able to see at the moment, but I believe
me too.
Okay.
Yep, I've got it now. So it looks like we're in the placement phase or raise. The pot is 16,000. Anna's got a queen. Raphael's just put on a couple of pawns. Both sides have put on a couple of pawns. Okay, there goes a bishop in a very defensive place, directly covering that check. So there was a danger of a check from Raphael. So Anna's covered that. There goes a rook. Right, threatening to come down and zoom down here. So Anna's going to have to cover that. There she is. She's already anticipating that rook coming down, and she's blocked it off with the knight. She's still got a queen to come. So has Raphael. Similar situation, Jeff, to the game I was talking about. It looks like Raphael's got a rook for a knight advantage here. So Anna's trying to think where to put the queen. She needs to stop an invasion down here. Things could get very nasty if that queen arrived on that square. So there she goes. She's covered it.
Yeah, it looks like Raphael could not stream, so we're just going to have Anna's feed.
Okay, queen moves forward. Now, Raphael he's threatening to come down. He's threatening to give checkmate. It's going to be choke-mate, as we say. Anna covers that. Oh, that's very sneaky. That is such a clever move because it's also threatening to invade down there on the g3 square. That's very, very clever play from Anna. Okay, Raphael sees that and covers it. Now it's going to be very difficult for Anna to activate. She's going to try and improve one of her pieces. So that bishop is becoming just a little bit active. Rook hits the queen. Queen gives check. Yep, check's been blocked. Now I think Anna maybe move her king. That's it. She's moving it into safety. This could very much come down to the clock. Raphael's actually behind on the clock, I think. Anna's clock is a little bit faded out, but I think I see 101 seconds. Raphael is down to 80. Okay, so he's lining up his bishop on Anna's bishop. I don't think Anna needs to worry about that. Okay, but she's taken it. She didn't have to. Now she'll bring the knight in. There it goes. I think the knight will come in and block. That's what I'm expecting. Yep, that's what we got.
How similar is this to regular chess at this stage now? This is sort of the end game technically, but is this? I mean, these players. Is it? I guess
This
it's
look,
sort of unique situations, though, right? In regular chess, it's not usually going to be these pieces matched up like this, or is
yeah,
it pretty similar?
it's a pretty common configuration of pieces. But normally, though, you'd say that white would win in normal circumstances. But when one side's got less than a minute left, like Raphael's more or less, anything could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the knight is a beautiful piece. That knight in the center, it's very well placed. It could even hop in there. I think that's what Anand is thinking of doing. So it's very, very sharp. It's a normal chess configuration of pieces. No, she's going to try and prise him open. Giving a check there. And back. What's the clock times? He's down to 54. She's keeping an edge on the clock very cleverly. I think she's going to go pawn forward now, put some more pressure. Try and rip open the pawns around the king. Or maybe stick that right in his guts, right there. That would be horrible. Yeah, that's what he's tried to stop, I think, Raphael. But he's allowed another check. King runs away, but now Raphael is losing a pawn. And his king might be vulnerable to another check. Oh, a little intermediate move there, hitting the queen. Be careful, Anna, be careful. She could nip there, threatening there. That could be nasty, but there could be a secondary threat here.
She's down to 33 seconds as well. He's got
pawn there. Pawn there is going to be evil. Okay. Is there going to be a way for Raphael to do? I think yes. If he's really brave, he's done it. He's gone it, and now it's just checks. Anna is losing the knight. She's losing the knight. She's going to be a whole rook down, but she's just gone for broke. But I think she's going to get checkmated on the back rank, what we call the back rank. That's this back rank here. Yeah, she's shaking her head, Jeff. Check. And now we're going to see when you can coordinate the pieces, you usually get checkmate. Yep, mate in one is possible if he can see it. There it goes. Checkmate. Rafa wins the pot, Jeff.
Wow. Nicely done. The underdog, as we say, maybe or maybe not an underdog, but that was a strong showing there. Takes the first part of this battle. It's nice to get the first one.
Okay, so the blinds are going to increase. Big blind, 1,500. So Anna's got 2 pawns.
Yeah, not what you want. Obviously, the pawn's just not as exciting.
So we got a promotion there because Anna did 3 pawns. Oh, fairly small pot, right, Jeff?
Yeah. Well, she got the Empress, no? With the 3, she got 3 at full house at the 3 and 2. So she got to upgrade to a queen.
She got a and she got an upgrade to a rook as well, I think, when she got her 3rd pawn.
Yeah, 2 pawn, good for promotion. That is so we see a nice. Yeah, it turned out to be a pretty good draw for her.
Oh, a 2nd rook. That's pretty decent. Both those rooks on open files with enormous scope to go up and down the board. So this is funny, Jeff, that this is not a normal chess strategy, but essentially Raphael is wrapping his king in pieces. I don't think he's planning on going anywhere. This would be known in soccer as parking the bus.
Yeah. Well, that's the 4. She had 4 pawns, so the 4th pawn promotes to a queen. It's a huge hand she got dealt. So I would, she's got to have a pretty significant advantage. You see the pot is at 4K at the moment, and this is definitely gonna. She's got a big piece advantage here.
She's got to capitalize on this. Okay, she's got two rooks and a pawn against 3 minor pieces. It's 11 against 9. But look at those minor pieces. They're stuck on the back rank, 2 of them. One of them looks tremendous in the middle, that knight. I'm going to expect at some point Anna will move her pawn forward to shift that. Just get it out of the way. Oh, that's nasty. So there's now a horrible double attack on that knight. It's covered by the queen for the moment. So, yep, Raffael has gone right back into his hunkering down mode. Okay, Anna's just made a little move with the queen, allowed a check. Is she? I think she's trying to make him come out of his shell. Bishop there, blocking the rook move. Very wonky rook move that I've just shown.
How big a favorite is Anna in this particular setup right here?
You know, I think she was a bigger favorite at the start of the game, but now she can zoom in with the rook and give a check right down the back. And that would force the bishop to go back into its little hidey hole. And at that point, I don't think Raphael's got any good moves. The question is, can Anna actually make progress? She's got him stuck there. So what she's trying to do, look at that. That's incredible, Jeff. Anna has forced Raphael's pieces back to where they were at the beginning of the game almost. And I think he's in danger of running out of moves. She's just got him just where she wants him. The only thing she has to watch out for counterplay down here, but I don't think that's going to lead anywhere. So she's absolutely dominating the position. She's invaded. Yep, she just moved that king out of the way. Raphael will have to move back. I think Anna's going to try and force an exchange of queens, maybe. Or possibly she'll advance one of her pawns. We'll see. Literally, look at that. Look at the situation. That bishop can't move because it's pinned to the king. It would be an illegal move. You can't move that bishop. That knight is very busy defending that knight. That knight is also pinned by the rook. Yep, she's gone for it. That's what I thought. She's just going to try and open it up and just see if Raphael just literally runs out of moves. But he's still wriggling. He's still wriggling. How's the clock times? 48 seconds for Anna, 46, 45. Gosh, Raphael's been playing quicker this time.
Man, this looks close, even though it feels like Anna's got such a lead, but at the same time, it looks too close to call. Is she still sitting pretty?
I'd say she's actually standing worse because of the clocks. Look at this. She's only got 33 seconds against 91. So yeah. Raphael's, I think maybe he figured he played too slowly last time. Okay. So she's got the queens off. She's managed to exchange the queens. She might be able to squeeze him even further. There we go. Brilliant move by Anna. She's liquidating. Right, she has got 26 seconds to force through this completely one endgame. Rook and 2 pawns against knight. It's absolutely winning in a normal game of chess. She just needs to avoid any blunders, and she's going to try and force this e-pawn through. Somehow she might get a chance. Rook takes knight will win here, surely. Rook takes knight, Anna. Rook takes knight, just wins. She's done it. Well done. Although that's giving up rook for knight, because of what we call the zugzwang, black has no sensible moves here. Okay, so now she's won a pawn. She's going to promote another pawn to a queen. She's got 12 seconds to do it. The pawn has got to go forward 2 squares. You always lose kind of part of us. Come on, choose the queen quickly. Right, it's a race against the clock to checkmate, win. 8 seconds. She should be able to do it. Her blitz technique is everything that matters. It's the only thing that matters is can she do it? She's got 5 seconds left. She's forcing the king into the corner. You force the king into the corner. She's pre-moving. I think I can see that mouse pre-move. No, that didn't work, that pre-move. Whoops. Oh, that's not optimal. It's going to lose half a second there. Come on, Anna. Come on. You know you can do it. Oh, she's down to... No, she's run out of time. It's a draw. The pot is split. She couldn't checkmate in time. The rule that applies there is that because Anna lost on time, she ran out of time. She doesn't lose because Raphael only had a bare king. So Raphael would have been unable to win by checkmate because he had just a bare king left. Goodness me, what a match.
Interesting. Very exciting. Wow. Yeah, that was it looks, I mean, that's a win for Raphael, right? I mean, he was
absolutely. I'd say that's the first game we've seen in Choker where a player survived a material disadvantage after the placement phase. So after the betting phase. So yeah, that was a real win for Raphael. I'd say that's a psychological win as well. He resisted her. And his strategy was brilliant. He just surrounded himself with pieces and said, "Come and get me." You know, I'm just going to sit here almost in there's a chess opening called the Hedgehog, where white sets up all his pawns on black sets up all their pawns on the 3rd rank, and it's called that because if white gets too close, those pawns might take you. Almost like you get pricked by the hedgehog. He just curled up into a ball. It was sort of like a choker hedgehog, that game. absolutely amazing. And
Interesting.
Anna became more frustrated. She started to use up time trying to figure out how to win, which is something that often happens. Often happens in chess, that the person who's trying to win is the one who consumes up more time trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, really interesting. Also, it's interesting to note that this is next week. We got Bill Perkins and Matt Staples in a match, but there still is a wild card available. So if you want to be entered and be a part of this, you can still in the App Store. You can search Choker, and you are able to. There will be a wild card contestant that gets to come on here. So that is not too late to still enter if you are at home and thinking about trying to compete in this the cup, the Choker Cup. So that is something that we might see you at home watching and be competing in one of the coming weeks.
Yeah, anyone can play. Just download the app from the Apple Store or Google Play and get going. The rules are really easy, as you've seen, and you might be the wild card. Oof. So that was very, very tense. We're waiting for the next game. I have to say, Anna looks remarkably calm. She's a lot calmer than I am. All I was doing was commentating. Goodness me.
No, we can't. Unfortunately, we can't see Raffael's reactions, but he has that pinned smile on his face. He must be smiling after that result. That was definitely some strong play by him to find a tie draw.
Right.
That was nice.
Yeah, no, he'll be feeling good about that. Just wondering if we're having a technical issue, because we would normally have expected the game to start again. Anna's just checking. Raffael's in Brazil. We did have a technical issue with him earlier that led to us starting a little bit later. There was one feature, Jeff, that proved remarkably hard to break down. It was those two knights defending each other on the d7 and f8 squares. It took ages and ages for Anna to break that down.
Yeah, that was exciting. Brazil does have some internet issues sometimes. My wife's Brazilian. I've spent a lot of time there, a lot of Twitch struggles in the past, but I think they got fiber optic now sorted out most of the country. So hopefully it's worked out. But there has been some internet issues there.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it looks like they're waiting to keep it going here.
Yeah, the score's updated. Raffael 1 up. So Anna was all in that last hand, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, so it's 18K to 2K chips. You see the 10K starting, so that was a survival. So she didn't lose, but she knows that
she's down to 2K.
Right, yep. Huge 9-1 chip lead for Raffael. It's hard to overcome.
What does Anna do then in the betting phase, Jeff, with such a short stack as that? What does she do?
I mean, she's got to be all in.
She's just all in automatically, isn't she? I guess.
Pretty much at the blinds level that's gone up. You know, if she just folds, she's losing too much of her current stack. Whereas on the other side of that, Raffael, it's good to lean, but it's also, you know, he's not going to give up. He doesn't mind folding. He can really be patient and pick a good spot to end it.
Right, so
significant advantage. The pressure's on Anna.
Right, so he just waits till he gets a good hand and then goes for it. He doesn't have to commit. Goodness me, 2K. So the way that you lose in Choker in the clash is when the amount of money you have in the pot, the number of chips you have in the pot, is lower than the big blind. So I think Anna's only just surviving, right?
Yeah, it's time to go. She's gotta make something happen here.
That's me.
Yeah, and so you saw the disappointment on her face because she knew that was it was a few seconds away, right? I mean, she was there closing in, and even maybe she tried to pre-select a move, it didn't work, and like you said, just cost her a second or half a second, and she was literally she had Raffael pinned. Just ran out of time.
The technique to win that, if you've got a queen and a king against a king, as she had, was you force the king to the side of the board, ideally the corner, until it's got only 2 squares left, and then you essentially, the queen, if you like, is the guard and the king is the hunter. So that the queen pins the king, forces the king back onto the side of the board, and then the king, if you like, is the hunter, comes in, and you should be able to deliver the checkmate blow. Anna should really have done that with 8 seconds. I think that the pre-move cost her dear. She seemed very confused when the move that Raffael played wasn't the one she was expecting, and suddenly her clock went down, I think, if I remember rightly, from something like 5 seconds to 3 seconds in one move, whereas I would have been hoping that she could make 2 or even 3 moves in a second, and she should really have done it comfortably. The other thing I think that cost her dearly was that in the final phase of the chess, you remember I was screaming at her to play rook takes knight, giving up the rook for the knight, and she delayed quite a long time. I think she was just checking the consequences of the move, and that cost her dear as well, because then she was only left with 8 seconds to make with queen and king.
Yeah,
Just
that's
unfortunate.
really that's interesting on what Raphael did there. Maybe because what the best move was, he deviated from knowing that she may pre-move. Like that could
Yeah.
be maybe something he did just to do something bizarre and sort of might have got him the draw in that spot. I don't know if there's different levels, right? I don't know if maybe it was just either a blunder or just wasn't thinking, or there was another pretty good move. But if that was
Yes.
his thought process, that's pretty strong that he
I
threw
thought
off
that was really, really, really clever blitz technique, because I looked at the pre-move that Anna made, and I thought, yeah, that's the sensible pre-move. Raphael's probably going to go there. She wants to go there, and she made that pre-move, and Raphael very cunningly just did something different. Very, very clever play. Very, very clever play. I'm just looking, Jeff, at the rules for game stoppages. I don't know if one side is possibly disconnected, or just looking at the rules, we have got a set of rules here, a bit like in that strange English game called cricket, when there are rules if rain stops play as to who's won in certain formats. But my understanding is that we will be starting again in just a couple of minutes with the next hand.
So based on what we've seen, we did pick Anna between just sort of talking out loud about her. She's part of the choker operation. She's studied some, she's played some, and we're not sure what Raphael's done or what he's aware of. But based on what we've seen so far, do you still like Anna, or do you think Raphael, he has a 1-0 advantage and seems like he's played well?
I think he showed a lot of the attributes that you need to win a choker match. He's certainly got that raw cunning in the final blitz phase, and I think he's also got a good understanding of how to play a choker position with a material disparity. I mean, that was brilliant technique. Everything around the king. Come and get me. You've got 120 seconds. See if you can win.
And how big with that chip or the piece distribution? What would you say out of 100 times? What times is Anna supposed to win there? And when that actual draw, like what would be your guess?
Right. I mean, in a normal game of chess with a slow time limit or even blitz, I'd say she would win that, 80-90% of the time, maybe 90% of the time, I would say. But with so little time on the clock, and Raphael just sitting there, and one of the nice things about Raphael's position actually was that although he had very few moves, it meant he didn't have to think that much about them. It wasn't like he had a great choice of moves. He was just most of his pieces were actually stuck there to their original positions. All he could do was just oscillate and maneuver with the queen. He tried this early knight move, early doors, and then that went back into the defensive mode almost immediately, and then it was just a matter of up and down with the queen, and he gained a huge advantage on the clock. Oh, here we go. I can see Anna looking very, very focused on the screen, taking a deep. She's looking seriously focused, very focused. Okay, we're into the betting phase. 10K apiece.
Oh, so I thought she still had 2K left. Did they finish that one out?
Yeah, I think they finished that one out. I think that might have been a malfunction on the screen because Raphael is one up on the score.
Okay, so that's a clash. He has one.
Yep, he has one clash. Yep.
So it's very similar to tennis, where there's games instead of set, it's clash, and then to win the match, how many clashes? And here we're playing best of 5, correct? So 1-0 is Raphael at the moment. He needs to get to 3. Whoever gets to 3 first.
Okay, there was Anna folded. Gave away the big blind, 1,000 chips.
Yeah, so you can see we're talking about you want to be solid and selective, which is important, but you can see after losing a couple of folds, you're going to be at a pretty big disadvantage as well. So you can't just be too passive here in this format.
Bishop and a pawn. Oh, bishop and 2 pawns. Third pawn. Okay, so the third pawn at least has been upgraded to a rook.
But no draw for a full house here then, right? So she could get...
Not yet.
Okay.
What's that? Yep, there we go. Third identical piece promotes to a queen.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Wow.
All right, so now we see the betting phase. This is where it's there's some strategy involved. So she is going to raise, not go all in, but bets, and now puts the pressure. We can't see Raffael's whole cards, but he has got so he decides to lay it
He's
down.
folded.
So there we go. We see
a
bet and takedown.
Yep.
And sometimes, that's a good result for Anna, but at the same time, when you have that strong a hand, maybe you want to go and you don't want your opponent to fold because you want those chips to go in the middle. So
you've got to lure him in, right?
Yep.
Bishop and pawn for Anna again. Not fantastic.
All right, I see some players checking. No betting done.
Ooh, queen. Queen for Anna.
See a check from Raffael, and now she is going to start betting. Figuring out how much to bet. Raises up
raised
to
him.
3,000.
Okay.
And takes it down again.
Oh, well done.
All right, we're seeing a little more poker than last time. Last week it was pretty much there was never it was always just get to the playing part. Here we're seeing some actual folds, which is showing you there's maybe a little more thought process going on what you should be calling with, what you should be folding with. So seeing some of that aspect of the game displayed.
Wow, big blind, 3,000 already. Goodness. It goes up really fast in Choker. Knight, rook, and 2 pawns. Yeah, she checks. Oh, a queen. That's a decent hand. That's what, 9, 11, 14, 17. And so that's slightly above average, right?
Yep, and she is going to call. So now we see all in. So if she were to lose this match, she would still have 5K chips. So this is all in for Raffael, and Anna has a little less pressure, but she would have a significant underdog in chips if she were to lose, but she would not be beaten in this she still would have backup. She's still got a chance if she loses this.
There's a lot more at stake for Raffael. So he's down to, you can see that they both start with 180 seconds. So Raffael's down to 165 seconds. Your time is used up even in the placement phase. While it's your turn to place a piece. Again, that's very defensive from Raffael, Jeff, putting the bishop right next to the king instead of putting it somewhere aggressive. I suspect he knows that he might have a material disparity unless he's just being very cunning about this. I don't know. Okay, so there goes the rook, threatening to come down and give checkmate in one move. Anna covers that off immediately. She's still got her queen to come. I suspect Raphael's got a queen as well. Otherwise, surely he wouldn't have bet, would he? Yeah, there we go. So we have, this is unusual. This is unusual. We have material equality. Both sides have rook, what we call a minor piece, a bishop and knight, and queen, plus 2 pawns. So it's down to who's the better chess player here.
And how big an advantage is it to go last, though, in this? And if they have the same pieces, but you have the button per se in poker, you get to act last.
Well,
is that
whatever,
a big advantage?
Whatever advantage you have by placing last is kind of negated by the fact that white's moving first. So I don't think it's much of an advantage. Anna's lurched in with the queen there, threatening the rook. The rook goes to hide away. Note that if Raffael puts his queen down there to give mate, Anna's knight will just nip in there and say, no, it isn't checkmate. So she's got that nicely covered. So she's doing the same move that Raffael did, putting that knight in a huge square in the center of the board. Raffael activates his bishop. Well, that's not very nice because that was covering that square, the escape square for the king. Ooh, Anna's king is a little bit weak now. Raffael could start coming down here, giving some checks, causing some trouble. And it's, you know, Jeff, even if the checks don't give mate, the forcing nature of the checks make you lose more time. So Anna's got to be real careful about how she plays here. I think she maybe needs to move her king to safety. Maybe king f7 is a good move. Yep, maybe that's a good move. Just trying to get out of there actually in some ways, and then maybe her rook will have a chance to come across here. Oh, that's very aggressive from Raffael. Okay, so he's attacking the knight first of all, but secondly, that pawn might come in and exert pressure on that diagonal again. The same thing that happened in the other game when Raffael won the knight. At the same time, he's allowing queen and knight to get near his king. Now, we have a saying in chess that was devised by the English Grandmaster Julian Hodgson, queen and knight, they're all right. And the reason is that queen and knight tend to coordinate rather well. The reason for that is that their abilities are complementary, whereas the queen can cover diagonals, horizontal, vertical, and knight can do this weird L shape, and no other piece can do that. So queen and knight together can be a really deadly attacking force. At the same time, I'm worried about Anna's king, but maybe rook b8. Yeah, maybe rook across to this square will threaten the bishop and maybe come down and give another check down there. That could be nasty. Okay, he's opened her up. He's opened her up along this rank, but there's no immediate way to exploit it. And I really love the way, this is brilliant chess from Anna, I love the way that her queen is defending her rook long distance. Okay, there's a check, king goes into the corner, check again. Anna doesn't want to, what's the clock time? 69, plays 77, roughly speaking equal. Okay, Anna's offering a trade of queens. She's going to try and outplay him in the endgame. But Raffael doesn't want an endgame. I think king d8 you want to play.
How familiar would you imagine these players are with each other, or understanding who's stronger? If they, like a trade for a trade, do you think that Raffael's at Anna's level and vice versa? Are they aware of their strengths and weaknesses as players?
I don't know. I found it quite hard to track Raffael's chess on the database. But I do think that Anna is supposed to be the stronger player here. But I think Raffael has played a lot of blitz. He's coming across as like a speed chess specialist, which kind of negates the disparity in ratings. He's just giving her these annoying checks and just trying to grind her down on the clock. And we could get a threefold repetition. A threefold repetition of the position in chess is a draw. Yeah, check again. How's Anna going to avoid it? Well, she'll have to go to f8. Yep, draw. Technical draw. We repeated the exact same configuration of pieces appeared on the board 3 times, and in chess, that is a draw. So Anna was
interesting. I didn't realize
unable to get the edge there. But I guess Anna won't be too worried about that. Jeff, in poker terms, she's still got the bigger stack, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at this. She has 10.5 and 3.5, and you can see the pot is now 8,000 if he calls. So he's at 11,500. So actually, if she calls, and she has 2 pawns, so this is a tough decision.
Ooh, she's called it. Okay. We were talking about this last week. 2 pawns isn't an automatic fold. Hey, oh, that's a lousy hand. Oh dear.
Oh, she knows it. You see her shaking her head. She realizes that was not what she wanted, and now they're back in the same situation where if she were to lose, she would still have 5,000 remaining and still be in, but she is at a significant disadvantage, you would imagine.
Oh, I think she went 1 bet too many, right? She probably should have folded one maybe after card 4. Yeah. She's hoping for the queen, right? But we'll see. We don't know what Raffael's got, right? But if he's got a queen, she's going to be in big trouble. Maybe she'll try. Yeah, she's trying his setup. Oh, this is amazing. So they're learning from each other. So she's copying Raffael's sort of park the bus, hunker down setup. She's just defending with 2 knights and just saying, come and get me. You've got 150 odd seconds to give checkmate. Now, where's she going to put that bishop? Don't know where she puts the bishop. Okay, she's attacking his rook. He's going to have to deal with that. That's a direct threat. That bishop is going all the way along the diagonal. Going to take that rook if he doesn't do something about it. That's good. That's making him use up time. Great move, Anna. So she's 10 seconds, 11, 13 seconds ahead.
Yeah, and that's queen, we imagine, right? Behind.
We reckon. Oh, it was only a rook. Okay. Oh, no, this isn't as bad as I thought. Now, the first thing is that Raffael is threatening checkmate in 1 move. If that rook comes down there giving check to the king, what we spoke about last week, ABC, avoid block capture. You either avoid the check, block the check, or capture the piece. Anna would not have any of those options available. She's made a little escape square. So that mate threat is no longer a problem. Okay, she's just moving her knight, activating her knight, get her king away from the rooks, just generally move away from them, and just, if you like, just create this constellation of pieces, and just hope that she can survive. Maybe she could even consider going pawn there, actually, just to cause a bit of confusion. I think her best chance is to win this on the clock. She needs to just move real fast. Rook attacks bishop, bishop moves. Now that's vulnerable to a knight hit. There it goes. Oh, probably wasn't the right move, bishop there. It's just given Raffael a tempo to move that knight into a beautiful central square and hit the bishop. Maybe that bishop just needs to drop back a square. I don't think she should allow the trade. It's defended by the knight, but okay, she's gone pawn takes pawn. She's offered the trade. I think she shouldn't really trade pieces when she's down material. But on the other hand, I guess what she might be saying is, leave me with the two knights. The two knights are so tricky in speed chess. Knights are the greatest thing in speed chess because they move in this weird L shape. And a knight in the center of the board is a heck of a piece, you know. It can move to 8 squares. It's a fantastic piece, a knight in the center of the board, which is why Raffael says, go away. Okay, knight retreats. It's just, this is going to come down to the clock now. It's 100 seconds against 93. Yeah, that's a clever move.
I think Anna's going to than we saw last week. This is a much different, more calculated, more small ball, if you will, more bet sizing and going post flop instead of last week. We saw a lot of all ins.
Yeah, altogether more sophisticated. Hey, I think it's a higher level of choker. So what's going to happen is that because these rooks are more powerful pieces than the knights, black is just going to slowly try and progress. Just slowly take up places in white's territory. So maybe the rook might come down here. Maybe this rook might come down here. Ooh. Oh, another check. Oh, that's nasty. Anna's going to be in serious trouble now. Yeah, she's going to be in serious trouble because there's going to be a liquidation. Ah, Raffael actually missed a stone cold win there with a different check. Anna's managed to survive one more move. There was actually a direct win available for him there, which he missed. So it's 43 seconds, plays 81. Okay, he moves. Anna moves quickly. She needs to get back on the clock. I think she'll tickle his rook. Yep, go away. It's interesting that all the squares on the D file are covered by Anna in her territory. So Raffael can't actually penetrate her position. She's set up a very clever defense here.
Yeah, Anna losing some clock.
Yeah, she's got to move quicker. She's 30 seconds down.
How common is what we saw last game to have 3 of the same setups, positions in a draw? I don't think I've ever. Is that 1 in 100? Is that
it happens at the top level? How often? That's a good question. I don't know. I guess it happens maybe 1 every 50 to 100 games, something like that. That you get a draw by repetition. Very often in chess, that one side's moves are kind of forced. Oh, we have a fork. Raffael has blundered. He's allowed one of his rooks to go for one of the knights. Anna's survival chances have just been enhanced. Yep, knight there. Quickly, Anna. Make the move. Let me get rid of that red mark. Check. Very good that she's covering this square because it means Raffael can't attack the pawn. She just has to go up and down with her king. This is a bit like the last game. One side hasn't got very many moves, so they're easy to make, but she needs to move really, really fast. I think she's just going to lose on the clock, Jeff. I don't see how she survives 42 seconds against 14. I just don't see how she can survive. He's just going to run her down. I think he's just going to play a series of nonsense moves. Any moves will do, really. Anything that makes her use time. 8 seconds. Check to the king. King out of check. Check again. It's just a matter of the clock now. Neither side is doing anything remotely constructive, but this doesn't help Anna. She's just going to run out of time. The king now, though, Raffael's got a plan. He's a man with a plan. Coming in to invade and take this pawn around the back. Oh, brilliant move from Anna. Oh, this completely changes the game. Oh, but she lost on time. Just when she was almost saving the chess, she lost the game on time. Oh, frustrating. Yeah.
But look, it's not over. So now you see a 3-1 lead. So 15,000 chips to 5,000. The blinds have gotten pretty big. So this is, I think that's it, right? She's all in. I mean,
She's all in anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She's in with the 5K. So this is a must-win game. Well, actually, I guess technically he could fold, right? It's going to be. Is that right or no? He could lay it down. But,
but they're going for it.
Yeah.
And she's got to defend without a queen again. So that's what, 15 points. So she's got 2 rooks. 2 rooks is not too bad.
Wait, how? I'm just so I understand correctly. So there's 20,000 total chips. Is that right?
10,000 each. Yeah.
10,000. So why? I thought this says it says that he has 12,500 chips up top, but is it the match? This game is the match is 10,000 in the middle right now, because that would be more than 20,000, wouldn't it?
It would be. It'd be 22.5. That's a little bit strange. I don't understand that, but either way, if she loses, she's lost this clash, right?
Would that make sense because there was a tie? I'm not sure if there would be extra. I don't think there would be extra chips added though. Maybe we get clarification on that.
Oh, that's a good point.
But I don't know if that makes sense either. So that's all right. You know, it says this is a Choker Cup. We're learning as we go, and this is a new format, new game. So we'll try to get an answer on that.
So the rook, Anna's placed the rook defensively. Normally, I would have expected her to put it here, threatening to go down there, but she's placed it very defensively. Not quite sure I understand that. Maybe she's worried that Raffael's got a queen. So yeah, Raffael takes the open G line. If you look at that letter G where the red dot is on the screen, that's the G file. Raffael's taken control of that. Anna's offered a trade. Immediately. That's interesting. Material, again, is equal. So Raffael didn't have... Oh, goodness me, Raffael had a forced win there. He missed it. Oh, goodness me. He could have gone rook check and bishop check. The old 1-2, that would have been the end of the game. Gosh, Anna's very lucky there. Okay, knight there. Threatening knight takes pawn check because that pawn will be pinned by the rook. Raffael deals with that rather comfortably and actually improves his king at the same time. Now Anna should probably go knight g6 now. Try and get pawn to f4 or something. Yep, good move, Anna. But now the king needs to move. Come on, get your king into the game. Raffael's certainly playing pretty good chess, although he's missed a couple of tactics. I think Anna's ideal square for the king is the one that I've put. Basically, Anna wants her king on a green square, what we would call a black square in chess. You want your king on the opposite coloured square to your opponent's bishop so that it can't be harassed. Oh, come on, Anna, pawn forward check. That could be quite a nice little move. Now the king has to move away a little bit. Right, now maybe pawn forward might be good. Put a bit more pressure on there, or maybe relocate the knight. Would love to get this knight somewhere where it's checking the king, like try and get it there, but I just don't see how we do that. That's really, really hard.
Which type of chess player skill set do you think is for Choker best suited? You know, the blitz or regular? Is there which format is favorable for Choker?
It's all about blitz. In fact, it's almost like I think bullet players would be good. Bullet is where you have 1 minute only on the clock. Raphael's just blundered, by the way. I think he didn't notice that Anna could take with the knight, so the knight's come into the game with check. It's not fatal if he finds the right move now, but he has to be a little bit careful. He's found the right move. Okay, rook takes pawn check, but more material is coming off the board. It's only 1 pawn left each. But I would prefer to be Anna because she's got the knight, and knights are tricky. Knights are great in blitz, Jeff, because of the random way they move, because they move in this weird L shape.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Raphael's lost the connection. Just looking at the rules, clash has started, first game complete. I think you might get an abort unless he's back in. Is he back in? Yeah, he's back in. Bishop's gone to d5, king goes to e5, attacking the bishop horizontally. Bishop runs away. Anna needs to be careful. There was a little sneaky check coming there. Now both sides are going to try and get their pawn down the board. So Raphael's move is anticipating that. Again, how's Anna managed it? She's 30, 40 seconds down on the clock. This is really serious. She's going to have to move faster if she's going to survive in this game. Maybe she can try and head for a draw. Oh, I wonder if Raffael actually saw that coming, or maybe he's already planned to go rook d8. Yeah, I think Anna might have missed that. Rook d8, pinning the pawn. Anna thought maybe that she had a good attack. She's giving a check, but she's going to have to try and hang on to that pawn. It's a great move by Anna. Now the knight can come to b4 and cover the pawn. Oh, she's gone for a sacrifice instead. Okay, it wasn't necessary, but I think she wants to liquidate Jeff, try and get a position where Raffael can't force checkmate by forcing more material off the board, and then have the game declared a draw even if she runs out of time. Okay, her king is coming to try and take the promotion square, both sides vying for control of that key square where the pawn promotes. It's knight and pawn. This position is a dead draw. This position is absolutely a theoretical draw, but Anna will be declared lost if she runs out of time. She has to find a way to get the white rook off the board. If she can't get the white rook off the board and leave Raffael with insufficient mating material, as we call it, she will lose on the clock. She's got 10 seconds to do that. Okay, she's got the pawn all the way down the board. Raffael's got to be really careful. He's got to be really careful. At any moment, that pawn might queen. Anna's now... Good move, Anna, threatening to queen. I think she's forced the draw. Raffael's going to... Oh, he's still playing for the win. Goodness me. He's going to try and run her down on the clock. 6 seconds, 5 seconds. He's going to try and avoid repetition by oscillating in a different square to the rook. Yeah, this is blitz technique, Jeff. He's just going to run her clock down. She can't find a way to force repetition. Yeah. No, she did. He allowed it. Wow, he didn't need to do that. Bit of luck there for Anna. She managed to repeat the position 3 times. Fortunately for us, the software actually knows immediately. We can't actually remember every single position that happens at that speed. But she was lucky. Very, very lucky in that game.
So
wow.
Yeah, this is definitely different than vibe in match. A little more technical, a little more a little more play than last week when we just kind of saw some bombing all-ins, some play. So this is a different match. It'll be interesting to see next week with the poker players match with the Matt and Bill Perkins, what kind of styles they go for. I think Bill's definitely a little more aggressive and is going to try to probably pile in, and it's just interesting. You always get to see styles of players, what they're looking to do and how they're looking to it. So it's interesting, right? Because if one player plays one way and the other plays another, it's a mixture. But if it's just, both are one way, like these both, Raffael and Anna both seem very technical and willing to play small ball. So we're getting to see a lot more of that. It's very interesting.
Do you know which of the two players next week is more experienced in playing speed chess? Do either of them play speed chess recreationally or just chess, do you think?
I'm really not sure. I think my guess would be Bill's done a little more speed chess, but it's just kind of a guess. I've seen him do it. I've seen him play it, and I'm not as familiar with Matt's chess ability and how much he plays.
Right. So the score's updated, and Raffael is 2-0 up. So this really is a must-win clash for Anna.
Yep, 2 clashes to 0. It's, again, game clash match instead of set, sort of similar to tennis in that respect, but first to 3, and it's over. So 2-0 is hard to overcome. No question about it.
Yeah. Now, getting the draw didn't help Anna because I guess she didn't have enough to cover the big blind, so she's out of that clash. It's 2-0. Interesting that Raffael, I can detect in his play that he's a very, very experienced blitz player. He's got some tricky techniques, and he's moving much quicker. He just seems more dexterous with the mouse. That's also a key thing in blitz chess. You get that little edge. If you can, particularly in a situation where we've basically got 120 seconds. I mean, okay, it's 180 seconds before the placement phase begins, but usually the players are down to about 120, 140 for all their moves. If you've got that little edge by being a little bit quicker on the mouse, that split second quicker on the mouse, and you're playing 50 or 60 moves, it's going to add up eventually, and it leads to an appreciable advantage on the clock. I think Anna's just got to play quicker, place quicker, otherwise she's out of this match.
Yeah, 2-0, definitely. Also, part of why maybe Raffael didn't mind going for the draw or letting her get the pawn, or because he realized the draw would be a win for him because she couldn't provide she didn't have sufficient chips to match the big blind for the moving forward. So it was essentially a win for him. Same thing.
Yep. And so in fact once she'd given up her rook for that bishop, there was no way she could win the game. Like he could force a draw at any time. And so that was actually a mistake by Anna to give up the rook, and she was trying to save the chess game, but she lost the choker game. You've got to keep the overall choker scenario in mind when you're playing, not just the position on the chessboard. Her chess instincts were kind of standard. Okay, I can make this move; it will be a draw, but it didn't work it didn't work for choker.
Absolutely.
Ooh. Yeah, I think next week the person with the most experience at speed chess will be will be the one that has the advantage. It's a real shock to the system if you've never played speed chess before, to actually just coordinate hand and brain. It's exceptionally hard. So I think that will be a big factor next week. These two must have played thousands and tens of thousands of games of Blitz, and probably they've played quite a lot of Bullet, where you have to make all your moves in 1 minute, believe it or not. And I suspect they're both very experienced at that. But Raffael just seems to have that kind of edge. He's just quicker, and I think he's going to be a tricky if he were to win this match, even face a Grandmaster in the next round. I think it'd be a tough opponent, really tough opponent.
Yeah, this is. I'm impressed. I'm definitely. This is not that last week wasn't exciting, but this definitely had a little more flavor, spice, and you can see the levels of in-depth thought process and just sort of analyzing a bit of the format, more seriously, I would say, than last week. It's also very possible that both these players kind of watched some of that or picked up on some of that last week and were able to notice that, because it might be something you don't really think about if you're just messing around playing with your friends in the game. But when you actually, kind of watch it, you see the format, you see the Choker Cup, and you hear some analysis on it. It makes sense. So yeah, I think we're seeing a little bit of adjustments and people starting to realize how valuable the betting phase is and why it's important not to just be all in with whatever you're dealt.
I think we're just learning as we go, and the players are learning as they go. But okay, we're off. Betting phase.
Okay, so this is Anne's got a smile on her face. She knows this is it. This is time to shine. If she wants to keep this going, this is a must-win clash for her. And we see we're off and moving.
Bishop and Rook. That's pretty decent. That's very decent. I mean, if she were to get a queen on the next card, that would be huge. So she's already got 16 points, and she's got a card to come. So surely she's going to raise him.
Again, this is round 1, match 2. We see there it is, a victory already. Going to take the lead there. Looks like Anna got the fold there, right? So she's up 11K to 9K.
11-9.
Yeah. So a slight lead, but it does matter.
2 pawns.
It's nice to cover, right? Because that means at any point, if you were to be all in, you could win, and vice versa. If you are down and you lose, you could be all in and be out. So having it's same thing in a heads-up poker match. It's always so important to cover people to have more chips because you're in theory not at risk if you are covering. You can end it, but vice versa. It's an advantage. It's a big advantage to have a chip advantage. And we see more. This pot is building 9,000 already in the middle. So this is a big pot.
2 rooks and a knight. It's not fantastic, but it's not bad. It's 15, what is that, 10, 13, 15 points.
Who do you think is more tense here, Malcolm?
I think Anna. And I'm not saying that just because we've got a still picture of Raffael smiling at us.
Yeah. It's also, there's a good chance of an Empress there for Anna. She had a 50% chance.
Right.
Didn't get it, but
she nearly got an upgrade, yeah. Gosh, Raphael's not. I wonder if Raphael's got any pawns because he's placed a bishop first. Is that some kind of psychological ploy, or is it just because he's actually got five pieces and no pawns? Very interesting.
Let's see here. And you can see this would be if Anna takes us down, or if Anna does not win here, she would still have 2,000 chips remaining, whereas Raphael is all in this particular how this is played out. So essentially, though, if you're down 18,000 to 2,000, it's pretty, again, hard to overcome a 9-1 deficit, but it's possible.
So Anna's keeping her 2 rooks in reserve. She's looking very considered. She's keeping her 2 rooks in reserve. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh no. It's that right there. Yeah. That's my opponent's got a queen smile. Okay, so she just does the best she can to cover it. Yeah, but she's incredibly vulnerable down this right flank here, Jeff. What? No. Another queen? Oh.
There goes no poker face anymore. That's
how many seconds has Raphael got? He's got 136 seconds. Yeah, it won't take him long to dismantle this. Anna is wide open on this. Yeah, there he goes. He's in there immediately. She's so vulnerable here. This knight. It's actually, there's no defense to this. He's just going to pile up with queen and queen, and it's just splat basically. It's all over. This is actually how any chess player can beat the world champion. You know, if you had this position against Magnus Carlsen, I think you'd win.
I don't know. I'm not sure I'd get it done, but
I back you. I back you.
Yeah, it's all over about the crime. You know, this is
it's a massive disparity. I think this is the biggest hand we've seen. So what is it? 18, 23, 29. 29 points. Woof. 2 queens, a rook, a bishop, and a knight. Okay, it's mate in 1. Rook takes knight. That was all over. That was easy. That was never a game.
Wow, that was quick and painless.
Oof, 9-1, as you say, Jeff. That's going to be tough. What's the big blind? Okay, so Anna's got the small blind, so
with 2K, but so yeah, she's all in here. This is
she's all in.
She can either she has to check or be all in, but I guess the same thing. She's there's 2K in the middle, and she can't fold. So
right. And I think Raphael knows this, so she's not getting any cards. I'm afraid she's not getting any heavy pieces. She hasn't got a queen. She's committed to playing anyway, and pretty much. And yep, I think this is, unless Anna is very fortunate and Raphael has got an incredibly weak configuration of pieces, she's out. He's just thinking about where to put his. Has he frozen? His clock's not going. I think Raphael might have frozen, or we might have a slight internet connection because his clock's not showing. And it's. Yep, we've got a game freeze momentarily. Hopefully we'll get it back soon. Yep. So we've got the equivalent of cricket's Duckworth-Lewis rules in Choker. Essentially, if you get a game freeze, which we did there, and one player has more than 70% of the buy-ins, then he's awarded that clash. So because Raphael is awarded that clash, that's 3 clashes to 0, and he's won the match. He goes into the next round.
Wow, just like that.
So yeah, wow, that was a completely different match from yesterday. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm going to be interviewing Anna in a few minutes' time. Hope everyone will stick around for that. Gosh, Jeff, what was your general take today? I think just incredibly good chess by Raphael, and incredibly good poker. Just tremendous choker.
Yes, that was a very strong display. And again, sometimes chip distribution, or if you will, card distribution, how things broke out, it was a bit unlucky. I think really we saw for Anna, it came down to that initial. She couldn't close out that blitz segment, which would have been a big swing for everything. So I think that's kind of what stands out to me. That when she had the big advantage, the time just ran out on her. The speed of play for sure was noticeable. That Raffael was a very rapid play.
Yep, I think he had maybe in the betting phase they were kind of matched in terms of their strategy, but he certainly had the edge. He got somewhat better cards, but I think the key was his blitz technique. He was just quicker on the mouse, and he had that kind of that sudden speed of thought in the critical situation when there's no time at all, just to make the right call, and surviving that queen and king, as you say, queen and king against king. It's also such a massive psychological boost. I think that might have been, although we didn't realize it at the time, it might have been the decisive moment in the match early on. But a completely different contest from last week. I think that next week we're going to get another completely different kind of contest with two really good poker players and two amateur chess players. Should be a completely different focus. It seems like we can get so many different varied kinds of battles in Choker. It's one of the great things about it, and that will be on the same channels as you're watching now, whichever channel or stream you happen to be watching. Again, at the same times, just a week from now. Jeff, can I ask you for a favorite next week? What do you think?
I mean, I
put you on the spot.
I gotta go with Bill just because I know he has some chess ability, and I just don't know Matt's how much he at all. So I'm just going off of my knowledge of Bill.
Right.
I'll pick Bill. Wild Bill.
Okay. Well, Jeff, thanks very much for joining me tonight and shedding light on the poker in the Choker. It was a tremendous battle, very enjoyable. Actually, closer than the 3-line scoreline suggests. In a sense, there were just a few key moments. I'm now going to interview Anna and get her take on proceedings. So thanks very much, and see you next week.
Appreciate it.
Anna, well, commiserations on what was a really tough match. I thought that it was actually really, really close, no matter what the scoreline suggests. There were kind of some critical moments. What was your take on it?
I thought, first of all, congratulations to Rafael, because I do think he deserves the win for today's match. I was trying my best, but today I think he was somewhat luckier with the cards, but not too lucky. I thought that his strategy was better because he did fold a couple of times when he must have had worse hands, and he realized whenever I raised that I must have a good hand. So he didn't go for those games. We never got to see his cards in those situations.
Yes.
While he managed to lure me into the opposite when he had good hand and strong hands. He almost always had a queen, and I had just like a rook and a minor piece. So I think he was very smart with luring me into those moments when I somehow had the confidence that maybe his hand is just an average, and no, he always had a queen and heavy pieces, and
Yes.
the betting strategy was much better on his side, I think.
But you were very close to getting him when you had queen and king against king.
Oh my god, I'm so slow.
Because I don't know if you noticed, but you started with 8 seconds, and I actually I would have put money on you to finish him in 8 seconds.
Yeah, I would have put money on myself if it was in the app, because in the app you would play on your phone or iPad, or if it's on a chess site and you moved with the mouse. But somehow the combination that it's the BlueStacks software that catches the apps, I couldn't click as quickly as I would normally.
Right.
Maybe I need to practice more with this specific software, because I know that I could do it in normal circumstances, even with a touchpad or on a chess platform, but somehow on BlueStacks, everything felt way slower.
Right. Yeah, because he did seem to be somehow playing quicker than you, but we wondered, there seemed to be a point just when you had like 5 seconds left and he was forced back to the G file with the king.
Yeah.
We thought you made a pre-move. Did you do that? Your mouse seemed to go to like you wanted to pre-move on F5, play king F5, but then he played some weird random move.
Yes, exactly. You're right. So I made a pre-move, which I thought I would be able to do, but his move made my pre-move illegal because he moved the king to the other square. So that made me lose a couple of seconds because my pre-move was cancelled, and at the same time I had to think of a new move. So I think that was crucial. You're right.
Yeah, that was very, very good blitz technique from him, to be fair.
Yes.
Because I was kind of in your mindset. I was going, yeah, right now, pre-move F5, he goes there. It's all over. She'll do it with 2 seconds to spare. And then all of a sudden, oh no.
Yeah, I had the same feeling. And good blitz technique. I think it's the kind of thing that some of us who are not that used to blitz without increment, because normally I play with increment, I never really get into these situations where I have to win that quick. So yeah, kudos to him for using the time on his side. 2 or 3 games were decided because of the time pressure and me going really low on time.
Yes.
Even the game where I was 2 exchanges down, I remember I had 2 knights versus 2 rooks.
Yeah, I thought you were doing that brilliantly for a long
him.
time. Yes, that's right.
I tricked him.
That's right.
I tricked him. I could have taken. I was about to take the second rook too, and then the king and pawn in game, I take the d3 pawn.
Yes.
But I was once again too slow, and I lost that game too.
Yes.
On time.
It was funny though, because Jeff was saying, Jeff's a poker player, and he was saying, well, it's 2 rooks against 2 knights, big material disparity. I was saying, well, the knights are really tricky in blitz.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule Anna's chances out because she's got 2 knights, because it's so hard, isn't it, in blitz when your opponent's got 2 knights. And you did that beautiful fork and got yourself back in the game. And also you held out. He couldn't break through. That you had this amazing configuration. It seems like there's a choker strategy being formed, particularly in this match, of you just huddle up in a ball and you cover all the entry squares, and you just
Come for me if you can.
Yeah, you think you can break me out of my little hidey hole in 120 seconds? Come on, try me. Because I thought that was very clever, the way he connected his knights in one of those games, and it was so hard for you.
When I had the exchange up, I had my rooks on the back rank. I was pinning all his minor pieces, and still there was no breakthrough. And he had all these checks with the queen. So I decided I need to go for an endgame, and that was winning too. That led to the queen up and mate position. But yeah, I was too slow because it took me a while to realize that I have to go for the endgame. I was trying to win by pushing e5, e6 and some tactics on the back rank.
Yes, but it worked perfectly. You did it beautifully. I mean, it was almost a perfect game, actually. I think the way you handled it, it just unfortunately just ran out of time. And I guess in the second and third clashes, particularly the third, the cards were a little unfavourable, right? There was not a lot you could do in some respects.
Yes, unfortunately, the third
with a short stack, particularly, and you're committed, right? And
yeah. Yeah, I was forced to, and the third game didn't go through. But I saw the picture that Raffael sent me. He had a queen in that one too. So yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, well, I guess like chess, you know, choker can be cruel. What can you do?
Yeah.
But thank
Yeah.
you for playing so well and for entertaining us and for being a fine choker ambassador. I'm sure we'll see you in our future tournaments.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much,
Malcolm,
Anna.
and thank you so much everyone for watching. And tune in for the next match next week.
And download the app from the Apple Store or Google Play. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.